This is every secret for your villagers in LEGO Fortnite. Now, the first trick I want to show you guys is how to move a villager from one village area into another. So I have Brooks currently at one of my villages, and what I'm going to do is ask him to explore. That way, he doesn't technically have a bed inside of this area. Now, once I do that, I'm going to destroy any of the extra beds that are inside of that area. That way, he doesn't have a place to sleep inside of my village. That step may be unnecessary, but I do it just in case. Once you guys do this, you're going to ask him to leave your village. Now, I know how that might sound because you're asking him to leave and you don't actually want him to leave. You want him at another village. So when you go and you try to talk to him after this happens, he won't disappear. He'll just walk slowly around your village and he won't actually really talk to you all that much. You can't talk to him about a job or coming to explore with you or anything like that. Be persistent, and eventually, when you talk to him, you guys will see that it now comes up for him to explore or just to talk to him. Now that he's able to explore, now what I want to do is go back to my other village here, and now you can see that I have an empty villager spot in this area. Simply walk right back up to him as long as you have another bed available, and now ask him to join my village. This is actually going to place him now at this village rather than the previous one. So hopefully this helps you guys moving villagers from one village area into another. Now, before we go ahead and talk about which villagers are best for which jobs, I want to remind you guys that the actual village amount or limit that they have right now for your villagers has been changed and raised to 30. So you can now have 30 different world villagers in your seed, which is absolutely incredible considering that means that you could have 5 total bases with 6 villagers at every single one of them, all working in order to give you free materials, free utility, free items that you don't actually have to go out and explore for. And I'll actually give you guys another huge tip when it comes to that stuff, because all of you guys could definitely be using your villagers a little bit better. Now, the number one tip that I can ever give you guys in LEGO Fortnite is to keep your villages close to each other. The reason is, inside of my new barn village, you can see that I have 6 different characters on 6 different jobs. But when I zoom out of my map, what you can see is I have a bunch of other areas on the map that house things that are extremely close. So I have my shore biome next to a grassland, next to another grassland, and above both of those, or all 3 of those, is a dry valley area. Now, the reason why this is important is because when I go over to my shore biome, you can see I have another 4 villagers here, all on the stone cutter job, getting to work, which helps me a ton because now it takes no time to travel there, but I still get the benefit of those players working on different jobs for me. The other one that I can go to has 5 other villagers, all on the fabric worker build, which once again can be collected extremely fast, and I absolutely utilize all 4 of these villages and about all 24 of my villagers every single day. Now, learning which villagers work best on each job isn't the easiest of tasks, except when it comes to finding out the brand new ones. Anytime that you have a brand new one, it actually kind of is written in the description by Epic. So first things first, when it comes to the brand new animal ones, you guys could see that they tell you immediately that Cadence is a master woodworker, Ash is wild about plants, and Brooks is all about channeling nature's beat. And then you have a cheerful engineer in Lana Lane, and then Guernsey, who is one of a kind and wears an animal outfit. So the way that I would read this is if I'm going to do anything with Cadence, they're going to do stuff when it comes to wood and rods, or anything when it comes to finding those materials. Ash is very obviously going to work on a farm. Brooks is also going to work on a farm, with Alana Lane maybe working on biomass, and then Guernsey taking care of the animals. For the Mechanical Mayhem update, the description of this said, ready to become a mechanic after reading everything. It's okay if you aren't. Jules, Comet, and Lynx will steer you in the right direction, and the suit-wearing tiger Oscar joins coins, rules, comment, and links as potential new villagers. So every single character that came from the Mechanical Mayhem update is very good when it comes to being a mechanic, which means putting them on those compost jobs to get you biomass is going to be their expertise and where they work the fastest. Now, the final update as far as new villagers go was the fishing update. So players like Turk, Outcast, and Bob joined into the game, and all three of them have their expertise in fishing or getting yourself some fish bait. So if you have any of these three villagers, that's exactly what job you want to put them on. Now let's talk about some unique villager jobs. And if you guys don't know what that means, what I'm talking about is how a player like Tomato Head is actually better at cooking than somebody that like Lion Brand would be. But when it comes to stuff like this, it really isn't important unless you're somebody that is frequently bouncing between all of your bases. So like I showed you guys earlier, where I have 4 of my villages extremely close to each other, that is the only time that is really unique or really important to have the villagers that work specifically on certain jobs. If you're somebody that takes a while to bounce between all of your bases, then ultimately what's going to happen is they're all going to give you around the same output. Not the exact same output, but around the same. So in this case here, I didn't visit this world for a while, and I got 80 wool fabric and then 60 or 70 silk fabric. So it really not that much of a difference between the two when it came to my 5 villagers. So in this case, the difference in my villagers and their rarity or their job specific abilities really don't matter because I rarely go there. But when I go and I actually go between my villages extremely fast, the difference of speed is something that is relatively important based on the player's cooking or job ability. So if you're somebody that has a snow biome that is over 1,000 meters away and you visit there maybe once every 2 days, and then you have a dry valley biome that's not very close and a grasslands biome that's not very close, the villager jobs don't matter all that much. But if you guys are somebody that has your stuff extremely close, then those jobs will matter. So let's break down every single one of those jobs to our knowledge. Now, the main way to find out exactly what your villagers are good at as far as playing this game and learning what their special abilities is something as simple as talking to them. Now, when it comes to the character Salty, something that I learned specifically about him was when I was talking to a different villager, they actually told me directly that Salty was a very good chef. So I know if I'm going to put any villager onto a food job, it is going to be Salty. However, when I talk to him, he says, "What's cooking?" So I know in that bold text, this is an area or this is a player where I should go ahead and make sure that on the help job, he is going to be on a food job and he is going to be cooking food. And he says, you already know I'm going to cook up something great. So when it comes to him, I already know what his specialty is just simply by talking to him. This is something you should get into the habit of when it comes to talking to your villagers, as they are going to just tell you straight up exactly what they're best at. When it comes to Blackheart, he brings up a plank. Now, the reason why he's bringing up a plank is because his special ability, or what he's best at in this game, is going to be a resource job and is going to be refining wood. Anything that has to do with wood, Blackheart is going to be good at. So again, anything that has to do with talking to your villagers that they mention to you is going to be their specific ability that they're good at working on. Now that I'm at my other village, something that I really like about this area here is that some of the villagers that I have are just main cooking players. So I have Tomato Head here, who is obviously perfect when it comes to going ahead and making food. I also have Beef Boss, who is the exact same thing, who both of their descriptions talk directly about food. I do know that a player like Ash, a player like Brooks, and a player like Guernsey are brand new players that they already gave us those descriptions of, and so as Bob. So when it comes to Bob, you could also just read his description, and that also just talks directly about fishing. So I know that if I was to talk to Bob about anything, I would want to make sure that he is working on something directly related to fishing. After my last video on this specifically, what I learned was that there was a lot of made up stuff in a bunch of different websites that gave away tier lists and different things like that talked about different type of specialties. And the reality is you really never know unless you talk directly to your villager and see exactly what these villagers are good at. Sometimes you'll get a hint from another villager as to what somebody is very good at, but most of the times just talking to them will tell you exactly what they're an expert on.